A very warm welcome. Today we have with us Mr. Ayan, who is the Head Enterprise Technology at HDFC Life. Thank you for joining us at CXOTV.
Thank you, Urmi. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we proceed, now we actually want to hear from you how your journey has been so far over the years. If you can share some insight with our audience.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's a good starter for the morning. So I have been a career insurance guy, and I have been doing nothing else for the last 27 years other than running technology for insurance. And I had an opportunity of looking at multiple sides of this industry. I started my career in the public sector, then moved to the private sector. I also had an opportunity of looking at the life side of it, as well as the non-life side, the general, the PNC side of it. I had an opportunity of working in the Indian geography and also abroad. So I actually had an opportunity of looking at multiple, areas of this industry. This is a very large industry. This industry practically is a very old industry known to mankind.
Right.
So from that perspective, I have been fortunate that for the last 27 years that I've been around, I could see this growth, that the technology growth in this industry, not only in the India market but also all around. And I had a ringside view, a close ringside view of how this has emerged over the last almost 3 decades now.
That's wonderful. Like, given your expertise, we would actually like to understand more about the industry. So if you can highlight some of the latest technological trends and innovations that are relevant to this industry currently, and if you can share some of the examples of maybe a complex technological challenge that your team has addressed recently, and what strategies did you employ to overcome it?
So let me break it down into the two halves. So first, let me talk about the technology trends across the industry. Of late, I'm saying that is the post-COVID era, because that has been a clear separator in the time scale. So while there was a continuous adoption, improvement and adoption of technology across the board for the entire BFSI sector, even before COVID happened. In fact, BFSI sector is one of those sectors. The financial sector has been one of those sectors traditionally which has been adopting technology for a long time now. It has, the India story has been immediately after our independence. But it was moving at a certain pace. Now that changed completely after COVID happened, and as the rest of the world, our industry also realized that there are different ways of doing business. There are different ways of going to market. There are different ways of looking at product innovation, and then bringing all of this together and then digitally present it to the customer. Now this immediately opened doors at multiple aspects, and many of the pieces of the ecosystem came together actually. So you would see in the last 3-4 years, even the government of India has had major initiatives of actually growing the entire tech ecosystem. Now all of this were really game changers. They were force multipliers for the industry to adopt the technology leap that it was poised to take. And today we are at a point where a lot of these pieces are available for ready consumption. The best part is that while technology was always there, the mental absorption and the accommodation of technology in our day-to-day life, that possibly took a complete change post-COVID. So we have now completely started following our financial, I would say, the way the financial thinking happens, the same way as we would possibly hire a cab with Uber or watch a movie on Netflix. We have started as a consumer. We have started looking even at taking financial decisions, including buying insurance. Now, when we started doing that, we also looked at multiple technology opportunities and distributed computing, which has been around for a few years now. That and of course that has been there in India as well. But there were certain areas where, especially because of the kind of business we are in, the sensitivity of the data that we process and the amount of time that we have to hold that data, and many of this is sensitive PII data. That was stopping us from adopting the distributed computing framework for a long time. Of course, larger players like for example, the SBI or the LIC always had a distributed computing across the entire length and breadth of the country. But for other players, because they were so large, they could always afford to do it, and they had built it over the years. But for others, this entire distributed computing democratization, if I may use that word, only happened post-COVID. That is, in simple words, adoption of public cloud. Now, that was one area where we were there before even COVID happened. And in fact, today, we are almost at a maturity level where not many people in our industry are there. We have been running most of our workload on public clouds. These are multiple clouds that we are talking about. And we have been running it for the last 4.5 years. We are into our fifth year. So we immediately realized that there was an opportunity, and especially looking at the kind of business we are in. Our business is even within the BFSI segment. Our business has a very unique seasonality to it. Come Q4, everyone rushes to buy a life insurance policy to save taxes.
Yes.
Still, that is still a reality in our country, in our market. So there would be huge business spikes during those quarters. Typically, end of quarters, for example, we are just getting into September, the last month of Q2, and again we will see huge spikes. And even interestingly, across the world also we see similar trends. For example, the lot of Western companies where the calendar runs from January to December, for those geographies, December is their year end. Now, some of the international global competitions for businesses, they culminate in the month of December. Now, when that happens again, for geographies and markets like India and Asia, we have a very important month in December for business, because these are international competitions where everyone pitches in. And naturally, because of this, there is a huge spike of the seasonality. Now, because of the spikes, infrastructure had always been a concern for our industry. Now, we don't run infrastructure like a Google cloud farm, right? So we have to be very optimally poised how we sync your investment in infrastructure. But always come these quarter end months and the half yearly closings, and finally the mother of all months, which is March for us. We would always see a huge pressure on infrastructure. Cloud gave us an immediate solution. So now we don't have to. I don't have to worry at all how my infrastructure will actually pan out during these spikes. These are all elastic, instances that we have created, and as per the application demand, the infrastructure also keeps on expanding. So cloud was one of the major things that we adopted. That also gave us another big benefit. The moment COVID happened, a lot of our OEM partners, the Oracles of the world, the SAPs of the world, the Microsofts of the world, they also started changing their business model. They also started realizing that most of the consumers across, these OEMs cater to all industries, right? They are not specific to one specific industry. Now, these OEMs realized that many new players, the digital native players who were coming in the market, in the new form of market that we saw post COVID, they were very keen to use many of their offerings and products on a operational expense basis, which is basically pay as you go. So no one wanted to buy licenses for life. People wanted to simply use the services, and software as a service or a platform as a service became a buzzword, and that became the primary model of licensing for most of these OEM partners. Now, even today, if I have to run some of these large OEM pieces, which we of course do, we have to create something which is bespoke for us. Now, that is not always good, because then the OEM might have a certain journey planned out for his product roadmap. And if he has to create, a separate tributary only for, let's say, HDFC Life, then it is not a good thing to happen, because then I'm not very sure that he will be focusing always into this particular specific tributary of mine. I will then, go outside as his product roadmap. So that was another major reason why cloud became such an important thing. And finally, there was another thing which we saw very, very interestingly happen, that outside all these large OEM tools pieces that we use, as a big technology consumer or a user, I continue to use a lot of small tools. Small tools which I will bring in for a month, 2 months. I will use it, and then I will then leave it back. Earlier in the days before cloud happened, I had to invest in them. I had to buy them out, because nobody would offer these things to you on rent, for example, just to use that word. When I moved to cloud, I could see that most of these things were already available as tools there for you to freely use. You use them and you again put it back. It is just like taking your car to the garage, picking up a screwdriver which is already available to you. You use it to tighten up something, and then you leave it back there. You don't have to buy the screwdriver, which possibly after that you don't have to use. Now, some of these things were very practical in nature, and it became one of the major decision-making points for us. And today, even as a very large organization, we are actually now a very large organization with 44,000 employees plus so many other partners and agents. this adoption of cloud itself was a major turning point for us.
So, would you like to, now, as you rightly mentioned, that the industry has completely changed post-COVID with digitization happening and people accepting, the consumers accepting it, and data being the paramount thing. So, we would also like to address like data security and privacy is again a concern, especially for the financial sector. So, how do you approach maintaining a robust cybersecurity framework for your organization's technological system?
See, as you rightly mentioned, because being part of the financial industry, we are heavily regulated, and every single thing is under the scanner of the regulator. The regulator has been extremely supportive in the last few years as far as adoption of new technology goes. The point in case, if you ask me right now, is even agreeing for the industry to completely adopt cloud as the primary infrastructure. The only restriction right now is that the data should be localized. My data should reside only in the data farms that my public cloud service provider is giving. It should be in India. So his data farm should be in India. That is the only restriction that the regulator has, and rightly so, because the kind of geopolitical activities that we see all around us, and India still happens to be one of the shining beacons in the current tempest. If you look at all around, it makes all the more sense for us to have a very, very strict data localization policy. Now, having said that, the data privacy was one area which was only possibly specific to certain industries. For example, the data BFSI or maybe the pharmaceutical industry. These were the two heavily regulated industries for so many years. But if I come back to my own industry, insurance industry, we now operate in an integrated world, especially post-COVID. We operate with different channels. These are B2B channels. These are B2C channels. The traditional B2C channels. We operate with B2B2C channels. So because of this heavy integration, we work with 300 plus partners today. I'm not even talking about my agents. Now these partners typically operate in their own industry. So somebody will be in the NBFC domain. Somebody will be in a manufacturing domain. Somebody will be in the FMCG domain. Now, but they are all our partners. And this is also the era of embedded insurance products. You buy an airline ticket, in all likelihood, you will also buy an insurance policy. You book an Uber or an Ola cab, you in all likelihood will also book a small ticket insurance policy, a bite-sized policy, which will be only for that flight duration or your ride duration. So this is the era of embedded selling. Now, when I partner with these different players from different industries, I have to be very careful that my data ultimately, even though being used by my partners who are governed by I would say different practices of his industry, doesn't dilute the requirements of my own data practices. So I have created a very robust a framework and a gateway where only the data specific to a partner is exposed to him. It is a completely API driven economy at this point of time. Most of my partners are connected through APIs. And I have a very, very strong API gateway which controls how my partner ingresses and egresses. And I also ensure that my cloud instances are completely away from how my partner uses the data. So I treat my cloud instances, even though they are on public cloud, as if they are on my on-premise infrastructure. So the same security protocols which I have been using for so many years and which I continue to upgrade on my own perimeter, that is inside my premises, I have applied the same principles of security for everything which is on public cloud. I have not left it to my public cloud partners, even though they come with their own robust set of security protocols. But beyond that, I have ensured that these are married well with my own practices, my own governance structures, and my own framework. So that ensures that I keep my own infrastructure, my own data structures completely insulated from all my integrations and all my touch points with my external partners.
Right. So while data privacy remains significant, collaboration is very crucial in technology-driven projects. So how do you foster effective communication and collaboration between your technology team and other departments within the organization?
So I think the days of technology being identified as a separate department or a separate function, in my mind, is gone. Technology, if you ask me, across industries and very specific to our industry, has to be viewed the way Steve Jobs used to view technology inside his iPhones. The Steve Jobs always used to say the best technology is the invisible technology. Now, the moment I create, a separate, I would say, visibly separate piece within my corporate function, that this is the technology function, this is manned by people who come from Mars, who have two horns, who are far better than any other mortal walking in the corporate office, then you are definitely driving yourself away from the actual business realities on the ground. The way we have done is that we have completely merged technology with business. We have adopted the agile framework. We have told business that you consider technology as part of your department, your group, your function. You tell me what needs to be done. You decide how it has to be done. I will tell you what is the best technology that you can use. And of course, being a business function, everyone has budgetary concerns, and that is something which we try to figure out the best possible way of bringing in, because the horizon for technology is limitless. You can continue to invest and spend, but there will be, as if there is no tomorrow, but there will be no end to it. So we also take those views, those considerations, and then those decisions, that what typically will be of something of tactical value, something which solves an immediate problem. What is there that will build my technology capability? What appetite I should bring in to build that technology capability over the years, for the next 3 to 5 years, and then what is the long-term benefit that I try to bring out of this? So there are typical cadence meetings, and even though our team members work very closely with the user and the business functions, but I have still continued to have cadence meetings at different levels, so that we understand well where the business is going from this point, what is their future planning, how they are planning to expand their market, what products they are planning to launch, how does the overall competitive scenario look like. See, unless you understand the business competitive scenario, it will be very difficult for you to provide the right technology solutions for that. And today, if you really ask me, product is something which is very common. Your technology is also very common. How you use it, how you market it, how you service it, and how you approach an individual customer with hyper personalization, that is what differentiates you from any other player in the market. So this is how typically we have gone ahead, and this has been working fairly well, I would say.
So as you rightly mentioned, like scalability is again often a concern for businesses to grow. So how do you plan and implement technology solutions that can accommodate the future expansions and needs of the organization?
So we have to be always on our toes, because on one side, technology has a habit of mushrooming in so many different areas overnight. Some of that remains a fad. Some of them has a strong business case. But very importantly, again, I'm going back to my earlier statement that we operate in an integrated world. Those days are over where we operate just within our industry. Now we have to be very careful about what is my business partner's acumen and appetite towards a certain set of technology. Similarly, there might be areas where I would like to play the technology leader within my group of choice, right? There would be scenarios where I have to be careful that if a technology, for example, the most I would say popular technology piece which is getting discussed today, generative AI, which everyone today knows as ChatGPT. Now that is something which everyone is so excited about. I am not really very sure that the current technology that we use, of course, a lot of LLMs have evolved in the last few months, and in fact they have progressed at an astonishing pace, if you ask me. I will be watching that space very carefully. While the technology is developing, it is also how the technology is being used in your own ecosystem. So is my partner company using the technology effectively? Is my customer comfortable using this technology? Is the government providing me the right tools to actually harness this technology well? Unless these questions are answered, it is not, I would say, it is not correct for me to actually go ahead, head on with adoption of this technology. Again, a point in case, I'll tell you, a few years back, before COVID happened, there was so much brouhaha, around blockchain. Now, so we were again, I think it's been almost 10 years now, a decade now, and our industry was We were all imaginative at that point of time that blockchain is going to completely change the way our industry works. And there are, different types of players in our industry. For example, insurance careers like us, direct insurance sellers. We have reinsurers, right? We have the banks and the other NBFCs who are partners. We have your actual technology providers. Now, what happens typically is that, let's say a person has multiple policies purchased from different companies. Now, he raises a claim. Now, today, what happens is that the person has to go to each individual company and raise a separate claim. And our industry is also the industry of risk taking, right? That is primarily our job. Now, unfortunately, our industry is also hit by a huge amount of fraud. So that is something where we saw a lot of promise that blockchain was bringing in, so that we could have all the banks through which our payment goes out, all the insurers, all the reinsurers, all part of one single chain, so that the customer's identity is kept foolproof, tamper-proof, and it becomes simple for everyone to consume. Now, we started with so much enthusiasm, but it never went, to the point where it became a commercially accepted methodology across the value chain. Now, unless that happens, you can see blockchain was a fantastic idea, and it has been used so well across so many other industries. But while it started well for insurance industry, it never reached the point of promise which we all expected it to. Similarly, today, ChatGPT, generative AI, it is bringing in so much promise. So all of us are all into it, trying to figure out how best we can create a use case around it. But I will watch this space carefully. And that is how we typically, you can always accuse us of being ultra conservative, but that is the nature of our industry as well. But we tend to, remain, the word that we use in HDFC Life is boringly predictable.
Okay.
Yes. So we would like to remain boringly predictable so that, for our customers, the entire value chain, and that is how we would like to adopt technology. That is how we have been doing. But meanwhile, we don't shy away from trying out everything which is available, which makes sense for us. So we have created a separate ecosystem, where we bring in young folks who have a brilliant and a completely different outlook towards technology, fresh out of colleges. They continue to do a lot of POCs with new technologies. And every time we see promise in any new technology, we always bring these toys home for these young people to play with, till it actually matures into an enterprise grade, solution. It is then we look at it more seriously and then start building it from an enterprise perspective. For example, how much load it can manage, how secure it is, what is the ecosystem around this, or do we have enough resources to work on this? Do we have a solid partner who can actually run it from an enterprise perspective? All of those things, then we start figuring out once we see something maturing to bring in more promise towards the enterprise deliveries.
So, ever since COVID happened and was seeing such humongous rise in remote work and digital transformation. So, how do you and your team adapted to support these changes and provide a seamless technology experience for both the employees as well as the customers?
So, I'll first come to the customers, and in turn, so we have three different categories. So, we have the customers, we have the employees, and we work with our partners. The partners, these can be our agents, these can be our business partners like our banks, NBFCs, or any other, B2B kind of an arrangement. So insurance per se, over the years, classically, if you see, has always been, and typically life insurance is not a great product to talk about, right? The basic premise on when you start talking about a life insurance policy itself is, you start talking about it, what happens if. Now, yeah, right. So when you go to you go to buy a pack of toothpaste, you can actually pick up that pack and you can start looking at it. Okay, it has got mint, it has got charcoal, it has got so many different things, and you can actually pick it up in your hands and start looking at the beautiful cover in which it is packaged. How do I package a life insurance policy? It is, first of all, the premise itself is not so great. While everyone down inside, understands the sheer need of it, but human psychology will always remain human psychology. It's not going to change. We all feel that I'm going to be the last person alive on this earth. We all feel at the end of the day. So when that happens and someone comes knocking at your door and telling you and sort of, waking you up that, ma'am, you need to look into this aspect, the reality of actual life, that one day you will have to leave this world. And on that day, this becomes a very important tool of financial planning. So this itself, the premise of selling an insurance product is very difficult, first of all, because the human psychology doesn't want to accept this. And when that is the first point from where we start the discussion, the second point is it is ultimately a financial obligation, a financial contract in which you are entering as a customer. And what are you buying? You're not buying a pack of toothpaste which you can pick up in your hand and actually look at the labels. You are buying a financial promise. If something happens sometime in future, right? So there is always this conflict in the human mind where the irrational mind, the typical, the way humans think, starts questioning the rational mind. Why should I invest money into something which I am not even sure of?
It's yet to happen. Or maybe
then the rational mind takes over, and then the rational mind says, no, you have to safeguard your family or your financial interests and all that. So there is this immediate conflict because you're not getting to see a product in your hand. It's just a financial promise. Now, yes, it is very intangible. Now, because of this, insurance products are not easy to comprehend for most. And if you ask me, even being part of the industry for almost 3 decades now, at times some of these products even stump me. And because the products have to be created. I told you the basic premise of the product is always the same. The protection against an untoward incident. But what happens is that to make a product, how do I differentiate this product which I sell from HDFC Life as compared to XYZ? Everybody is selling the same product practically. So my product can't say that this has charcoal, this has mint, this has something else. My product needs to say something little more towards the financial side of it. And we again traditionally don't understand these financial complexities very well as a human mind. So these are complex products. First of all, the premise is difficult. Second is a complex product. It always needs a kind of an assisted selling to the customer. So that's why somebody will sit with you, explain the product, the nuances of the product, how this product actually manifests itself towards the certain life stage you are in, all of those things. And then possibly you will comprehend what you are buying, and then you end up buying that policy. Now, even with so much online insurance selling, it has still across the Indian marketplace, it has still not touched double figures. It is still very much in single figures. Most 90% plus policies are still sold as an assisted sale. Somebody will come to you, explain the product, and then you buy it. Now, when COVID happened, what happened to this entire thing? That someone stopped coming to your place. You stopped going to a bank branch, right? All this happened overnight. Now, we immediately understood that unless we package the entire office for my agent in his mobile phone, it is impossible for me to keep selling and stay in the business because of the nature of the product. Overnight, the entire industry completely moved, packaged the full sale office inside a mobile phone, and then also came up with very nifty solutions, very innovative solutions. For example, the agent, he or she might be sitting somewhere else and connecting with a customer like you and me, and the agent and the customer are sort of having a conversation on the mobile phone through an app. So the customer has opened the app which he has downloaded or through the link which the agent has sent, and the agent also gets to see the same screen at the same point of time. Because just on a mobile phone, you have to fill up so much information, unfortunately, for insurance policies. Because again, we are in the nature of risk. I mean, our business nature is risk taking. So when there are so many different types of questions, even the customer gets confused. And it is quite possible that the agent who's doing this entire transaction, he or she is also new in the business. He may also not have all the details, what is being asked in the online form. So he or she also needs to see the exact screen that the customer is seeing. But at the same time, the agent may not have all the answers. He may need to have his sales manager, who is a much more senior and an experienced person, also come into the same conversation. The sales manager also needs to see the same screen at the same point of time. The smart customer today also asks difficult questions. Things, for example, what happens after the policy is issued, post sale? What type of services are available to me? There are so many different questions like, these kind of, the claim processing, the servicing processing, stuff like that, which the sales guys may not be able to answer. So I need to connect a call center, a contact center person who understands all of these nitty-gritties on the same call. Again, looking at the same screen that the customer is looking in his phone. So some of these, very nifty, innovative, smart tech solutions came out during this COVID period. And overnight, the industry completely changed its posture from being a physically driven engagement to a digitally driven engagement. And now, I mean, post-COVID, we have now completely eliminated all paper processing from a sale perspective. It's a zero paper. Everything is digital. Even the data that is captured by our partners, like banks and NBFCs, even they capture everything digitally and then they share the data digitally with us. So all of these things happened, again, COVID was like a war. And every time there is a war, a major war, these scientific and technical advancements happen. So these things happen overnight because that was the need of the hour. Otherwise, this entire industry, I'm saying, not about my own company, would have simply vanished. So it was more to go with the need for survival for the industry.
Absolutely. I think it was the need of the hour that actually put forward this digital transformation, and also it is gaining momentum and bookings for the customers as well.
Similar for my employees. I ensured that my employees were safe. They were working from home, from a distance. And then as we slowly came out of this, then we adopted the hybrid culture where the employees had to come to office for a couple of days, typically mostly for human interaction, where you need to do, some kind of a man-to-man discussion, or you do a whiteboarding session where you need to be sitting together, some huddle meeting has to happen, stuff like that. But other than that, people continue to work from their homes, from the safety of their homes. And it is no more a safety, it's also a matter of huge convenience that has come in. So we also had to invest into a lot of collaboration platforms and where it has to be a complete seamless experience, as if, you are sitting right next to your colleague. And as if, there is absolutely, there should not be any kind of a technological barrier when you're working from your home or for that matter, sitting out of your office. Now, for that, we also had to ensure that there were enough security layers that were put in. My employee, when he is connecting or when he or she is connecting from his home network, he should securely log in into my corporate network, and all the necessary security protocols that I apply in my corporate network are immediately applied on his or her device when they are operating from anywhere. It is not home. It can be a cafe. It can be anywhere. You can be connecting from any public connectivity zone as well. So all of those things were taken care of because we realized that this was the way of work going forward for the next few years at least, till there is maybe another major technology change because of some other reason. So we realized that, and we have adopted all those measures that helps our employees operate from anywhere today.
So can you discuss your strategies for identifying and mitigating potential risks associated with technological implementations or upgrades? Or also, if we can address, like, as you are adapting to technological changes, how do you actually measure the performance here?
So two parts to it. The risk of adopting some technology change, it is always there. And as I had previously also outlined, it is not what you do alone. You work out of an ecosystem today. You have to be careful that what you adopt is equally available and adopted by your entire ecosystem. You cannot play the role alone. You may to a certain extent, but then you have to be ready to play the leader in that area, and you have to lead others in that. So as I mentioned, I had given you the example of blockchain. I have given the negative example. The positive example I had given you of cloud. So there are challenges. You have to be careful. But at the same time, you have to keep scanning the entire horizon. That is it. There's something where you have the you can miss the bus. You have not adopted it early enough that by the time you adopt, it becomes too late in the game, and the rest of your competition has moved ahead, and there was a clear early mover advantage that you lost out. So this is always, the catch-22 situation for technology folks like us. But we try to then go back because there is nothing in the market or in the ecosystem that can give you a clear answer to it. You just have to go by your experiences and keep scanning the environment and see that what works best as a use case in your industry. And the use case has to be an end-to-end solution. You can't say that, I will just adopt something, but then forget that how upstream and downstream adoption of this particular technology will happen. So those are the pitfalls which we have to be careful about. But having said that, we also don't shy away from doing a lot of POCs we look at creating small insulated, I would say, sandboxes within our systems. We will pick up a particular use case, a particular product line, maybe something new, a new product, for example, or a new market or a new partner who's willing to walk the distance with us for adopting or trying out a new technology. We will try that out for some time. We will see how that pans out, if it is making enough commercial sense, I would say, and business sense. Because ultimately, we are not a technology company. We are a business company. Technology is a tool, basically. Only if something makes enough business sense, we would go ahead with that. But still, we will be cautious on how we take it to the entire span of the organization.
So,
A simple use case is, for example, bots.
Okay.
Now, our RPAs have been around for almost a decade now. They have also, improved, and from simple RPAs now they are AI-driven bots. We are heavily into bots now, but even our progression in this entire area has been gradual, measured, and exactly linked and stitched to the business requirement. So while we gave this solution to business, we initially technology came up with certain problem areas which we could immediately see, and we applied that, and just to showcase and build some confidence in this technology, even for ourselves as well as for business. Once we saw that this was actually delivering the promise that it brought initially, we then slowly expanded to other business lines, and today we have more than 500 bots across the organization.
So, as a technology leader, what do you see as most exciting or promising technology developments, or other we can address as tech priorities on the horizon for the industry in the next maybe 2 years to come by?
See, adoption of cloud anyway is something which has become the buzzword now, because as I gave you the reasons and the rationale behind it. So luckily we are already there. The second area where I feel a strong adoption that's going to happen, bound to happen, is adoption of artificial intelligence. Machine learning always has been there for the last many years. Now slowly our industry, BFSI especially, is also exploring very strongly the deep learning capability of some of these engines. And the way we have started, and some of these engines are of course, ChatGPT is only one of the external parameters that we get to see. But internally also, under the hood, we are seeing a lot of work happening in as part of the technology advancements in deep learning, and how the human brain is getting mimicked. Of course, there is still some time to go. I still feel that it'll take at least a cool 10 more years when we may possibly be close to the way the human mind is actually mirrored. The complete rationalization, problem solving, logic, and all of that. Perception. These are the 4 areas typically where AI is trying to mimic the human mind. But we are definitely on the move there, and there are solid business cases everywhere. You look around in the technology world, there is some form of AI under the hood which is sticking right now. It may be a simple AI engine. It may be a fairly a deep learning or a neural network driven kind of a very sophisticated AI which is under the hood. It is quite possible, but it is there to stay. And even for us, typically when we are driving towards specialized products and hyper personalization, these are two of the things which we are looking at. For example, as our business is of the business of taking risks, right? We do a lot of mathematical permutations. A lot of probability theories are used to figure out what should be the right rate when I launch a product, because I pick up a sample of, let's say, 1,000 people of the same human category, and my mathematical models try to predict that out of this 1,000, the mortality rate will be 2, for example. Then what should be the rate that I charge from these 1,000 people? So that, because naturally this is the basic concept of insurance, right? The 2 unfortunate people should be then be paid out from the kitty that we create from these 1,000 people. Now, this at times becomes something which is questioned, because people say that I am a healthy person, I follow a healthy regime, I do so many things vis-a-vis somebody who on the other end of the spectrum, but I end up being charged the same rate, the same premium as the other guy. Why should I not benefit from all the hard work I do towards ensuring that I have a good quality life, right? A good quality in the sense a healthy life. Now, this is where we are entering the domain of hyper-personalization. So this is the area where we have started tying up with wearables. Now, practically all digital wearables, are capturing a lot of your health parameters, right? So if I'm getting those data feed at a regular pace, I might actually then end up lowering my premium on a year-to-year basis if I see somebody adopt a much more healthier lifestyle, and vice versa. If, on the other side, if I see somebody, not really paying too much heed and going towards the other end, I might start charging him subsequently more. Now these are the areas of hyper personalization where, as an individual, I would like to pay money for exactly what I'm actually buying for myself, not for somebody else. So these are the areas where AI will play a major role. That is one area where we see, it practically explode in our industry. Distributed computing, cloud, I just told you that there are multiple examples where this will continue to happen. AI will also play a big role in elimination of fraud detection at the beginning itself. So, for example, the liveliness check of the customer. Now these things are now being done by an AI. So something called a blinking selfie. So our apps will ensure that when a customer is buying a new policy, the moment he blinks, a selfie is taken. So the AI knows that it is a live human being. Dead people can't blink, right? So that's the fundamental assumption here. So AI is going to be a very large player in technology player. Disruption can happen by introduction of newer technologies, but I don't see too much happen overnight in the life industry, because ultimately human lives, or particularly, there is no technology in this world today which can clearly predict the span of a human life, still at this point of time. So I don't see technology suddenly creating a major diversion or a disruption, unless, of course, there is a a war-like situation, like, for example, what COVID did to the entire planet. So this is what my take is, and I think everyone is moving towards that direction now.
I mean, I completely agree with what you said, and the bus technology being AI, it's only going to bring the industry further. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing such insightful knowledge and expertise on the industry. And thank you once again for sharing your time. It was wonderful and interactive.
Thank you, Urmi. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.